Welcome to Chasing Paradigms. I'm about to show you some basic information on riding your EUC on the sidewalk. Stay tuned. Tip number 1 is always ride with your camera. Having that on can record important events and also make sure that your cover is off. My tip number 2 is to make sure you know how long your camera pole is. So you can see here I bend it in a couple times because I don't want to hit the signs that I'm going by or the poles that I'm going by. And also, scraping it on the ground is something that can happen too. So just be aware of how long your selfie stick is. My tip number 3 is bend your knees for the bumps. I see a lot of riders with like stiff, straight legs, and I used to be that rider, and I've gotten a lot better at bending my knees. So bend your knees for the bumps. My next tip is to make noise when approaching people. When I ride solo, I already have my music on. These people still didn't hear me. I tapped my wrist guards together because I don't have the horn hooked up to my watch. I don't have EUC World doesn't work on the Versa 2 that I have. So making noise before you approach people, or I guess if you want to scare them out, then go ahead and ride silently. It's up to you. And then my next tip is to check behind before you have to go into traffic. So there was some people that I had to go around, and this is a fairly busy road. And so in order to make sure that I could be safe, I check multiple times, and a lot of people don't see you, so you have to really ride cautiously. This person that I rode by, I don't even think she ever looked up out of her phone, so she missed something really cool. My next tip is to, of course, when you're riding out on sidewalks or in busy streets, is to check your entryways of businesses. There's always cars. They have to pull out to be able to see. And so just be aware of that. Be aware of all your business entrances. The curbs are there to indicate usually that there's an entrance exit to a building. So this is a good tip for everybody. Tip number 7, if you check your watch or your phone, look up often. There was a EUC mate that had put up a video where someone checked their phone and like 2 seconds later they ran into a pole, and it was like a total mess. So I wasn't there when it happened. I just saw it on YouTube, but it was pretty messy. Okay, tip number 8. When you ride into a parking lot, you gotta also be mindful that probably people don't see you until you've passed them by. So I wear light colored clothing, and then I also look intimidating, so people probably think I'm like in a gang. Some of you guys out there wear even darker clothing, so making sure that you're seen is important. And I think I'm riding a little bit slow in this parking lot, but I'm not like weaving in and out of all the cars, and I'm trying to keep myself in like kind of one area. So we're all super nice people. Hopefully there's not going to be a stigma of the EUC riders being like bad people, but yeah. So my next tip, I'm going to come up to a crosswalk, and of course this is all experience level. So if you are experienced, maybe some people do like donuts or circles while they're waiting for a light to change, and then they ride out in traffic. And I'm not that experienced. I've only been riding since October of 2020. So I will come up to, like for a busy road, I'm going to come up and use the walking indicator, the crosswalk. And I still might ride out into the road, but I know that I have like that ultimate right away. So another tip too, and a lot of these tips are really relevant to if you've been maybe a bicycle rider or a skateboarder before. You probably follow these same rules. I used to ride a bicycle often, and you ride it in traffic. Sometimes you ride it on the sidewalk. Bicycles mostly fit more in traffic. So when you come up to a vehicle, it's a good idea to probably go behind the vehicle rather than in front of it. It's a little bit safer maneuver than pulling in front of it and risking getting hit. So that's a big one. And I'm also learning to do like emergency stopping and being able to get on and off the EUC quickly. I'm still fairly new at that. I still sometimes lay the EUC over. And again, I've only been riding since October. So I still have a lot to learn, and being able to ride in decent weather more often definitely makes the EUC a lot more fun. We have snow right now, so I can't really ride in the snow. So my next tip, and this little kid was crossing the street with his dad, and his dad knelt down and was like pointing at the EUC and talking to him about it. And I didn't go over to them, but my advice is if you see something like that, just wave. I think it's pretty cool that maybe that dad rides or knows what it is or doesn't know what it is, but just give him a wave. I think that's great. So this next tip, number 12, I have 2 more after this, is again, go slow in the parking lots. I think it's cool to do drive-bys. I like it when people see me. A lot of people don't know what it is that we are on, and so doing little drive-bys is kind of fun. This is our local Costco store, so you know there's going to be lots of pedestrians and cars moving around. So it's a good place if you are comfortable riding and maybe you're better at not crashing, like not laying down your EUC a lot, then go practice in a parking lot with a few cars. And in this situation, there was somebody loading something right here, so I had to go by them, and I was checking out what they were doing. I think they bought a bed or something. And so then this was my stopping point, so I turned around and went back that same direction, and there was like a traffic backup. So again, this is all based on experience level. If you feel comfortable enough to weave through something like this, then I say do it. If you can do it safely without hitting cars or falling off your EUC. Again, there's people that have like massively more experience than me, and so this is like no big deal to them. That was the first time I've ever done something like that, and I was like, well, that's badass. And then my last tip is to learn to look with your head, not your body. So when I first started riding, I would always turn my head to the left, and then I would start veering to the left. So once you've gotten good at getting up on your EUC and riding, start learning to look with your head and not your body, because if you turn your body, typically that's where your EUC is going to want to go. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and don't forget to subscribe.